was bad, and crack cocaine had ascended its throne. Across the country, the black community was stagnant. Pittsburgh was no different. African Americans were last in education, employment, and income. The Reagan-Bush era had seen to that. Black men, frustrated, undereducated, and vilified, roamed the streets for what remained of their manhood. Some were victims, others became victimizers. Slinging rocks, snatching gold chains, or killing for the new Air Jordans. All sleepwalkers, all slaves. Those lucky enough, however, to have jobs were seen as irrelevant to their employers as the slender plastic name tags or oval patches that branded them across their chests like cattle or slaves. Each morning they stuffed their belongings in old plastic drawstring bags, once boasting a new shirt from Fifth and Wood Men's Shop or a pair of tennis shoes from Hannes Wagner. Caught pat buses or jitneys only to be doomed to guard lobbies, clean toilets, or scrub pots. Jobs that gnawed at a young black man's pride and manhood, leading him to do desperate things. Clunk. The bloody cast iron frying pan dropped hard on its side and then rested flush against the cold kitchen floor. Troy Watkins had gripped it so tightly and for so long, his hand had finally lost circulation. The pan's weighty mass was certainly never meant to be handled in such a way, and the effort had obviously taken its toll. Troy breathed heavily, coughing and choking on the thick air as spit dangled from his bottom lip. He wiped his face with his forearm and then glanced at the handle's imprint in his palm. For a moment, it was all a daze. Then he glanced at the destruction beneath. It all came back, but his conscience would entertain it no longer than anything else he had done. At 25, Troy's resume included drug sales, countless assaults, and 3 murders. His handsomeness was equally dangerous. Troy's face was dark as midnight. Flowing eyelashes that most women would have killed for draped deceptively over his deep piercing brown eyes that could, and did. With Troy's hair slicked back in a processed S-curl, he resembled more of a 50s doo-wop singer pulled from the Motown Revue, absent the polish and flashy wardrobe, than a Run DMC-style b-boy his partners preferred. Perhaps to Thea Solomon's detriment, that's what attracted her. But had she known the life Troy led, she would have avoided him like the plague. Somehow, though, he managed to conceal how he got paid, telling her instead he did warehouse work in the Strip District and occasionally sold bootleg cassette tapes. Troy's Jordans slid a little on the blood-soaked tile, but his left foot found its footing as he steadied himself against the oven. Shit! They were a mess. He lifted his foot and frantically scrubbed a potholder hard against his blood-stained rubber sole. A pinkish glaze covered his shoe. Troy shook his head and stomped his foot back into the bloody slick. $125 down the drain, he thought. Too bad he couldn't kill the bitch twice. He smirked and shook his head at the idea, and her body below. Fuck it. Troy stepped over her and made his way upstairs. Where first? Thea's bedroom. He stormed into the room. His eyes darted wildly around the room. A blazer, silk blouse, and skirt were laid out neatly on the bed. Troy moved toward the folding white metal closet doors and pulled them open. Shoeboxes lined the top shelf. He recklessly pulled them down and unceremoniously emptied the contents on the floor. High heels, old mail, and receipts. Nothing. He shoved his hand into the hanging blouses and dresses, searching and ripping them apart one by one as if what he was looking for could actually be concealed there. Nothing. Where is it? Troy turned desperately, heading to the dresser. It was the last vestige of an old bedroom set which had belonged to her mother. Troy grabbed hold of the decorative metal handles and pulled hard, drawer after drawer, hitting the floor. He knelt down and rummaged through them. Underwear, tops, shorts. Fuck! He grabbed on an empty drawer and threw it against the wall, then abruptly jumped to his feet. Troy raked his palm and forearm across the cluttered dresser. Perfume and knickknacks shattered against the wall on the floor. Thud! He slammed down his palms and dropped his head, his weight bracing against the dresser's top. Suddenly he realized something. His eyes slowly climbed to the top edge of the dresser's simple mirror, a high school graduation invitation tucked neatly in the corner. Troy took it between his fingers, slowly mouthed the text, and then paused. That. A sea of maroon and white commencement gowns and mortars packed the floor of historic Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Hall. Sinkay Solomon sat apprehensively looking around as they called the names of the other Langley High School graduates. The announcer was already more than halfway through the alphabet, and the S's would be called soon. Where was she, he thought. His eyes frantically scanned the rows of the 2,300-seat auditorium, resting on an empty reserve in the balcony area to the left. Did her bitch of a boss make her work late? She missed the bus? Thea had never missed him walk across the stage. Maybe she was already there, but just in the restroom. That had to be it. He shouldn't be worried, but how could he not? Sinkay took a deep breath and looked down at the graduation program again, his finger finding his place among the list of names. More time passed. The announcer made his way through the list as row after row of graduates stood and lined up near the stage's edge. Walter Carl Palm, the announcer called out. The first name in the beginning of the P's, the cue for Sinkay's row and the 2 rows of graduates in front of him to stand and line up with those already on the stage. Sinkay's heart beat faster. Where are you? He mumbled, looking to the empty seat. Sinkay reluctantly stood and lined up. His classmates were chatting with each other and waving to their families. He felt so alone. Another name called, then another. His moment to shine was slipping away. Sinkay dropped his head. One graduate after the next climbed the steps to the right of the immense, ornate stage and strolled across it for his big or her big moment. Some were proud, greeted by dignified applause, while others indulged in random attention-grabbing silliness for raucous shouts and outbursts. Sinkay Solomon. He took a deep breath, exhaled. Even if Thea wasn't watching, Mommy was, he thought. So Sinkay lifted his head and stuck out his chest as he climbed the steps. A mammoth inscription of Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address loomed behind the stage as he strutted across it to shake hands and accept his diploma. Hold it, commanded the stage photographer. Then a flash. Thank you. Sinkay hesitated as he moved toward the steps. The flash had blinded him momentarily. The last thing he needed was to be sent tumbling off the stage. I'm so proud of you, said his high school English teacher, Mrs. Botwin, who met him at the floor of the stage steps. She had been the first to recognize and encourage his writing and helped him get a full scholarship to Lincoln University. Sinkay smiled bashfully as they hugged while disappointedly eyeing his sister's empty seat over her shoulder. Thank you.